Are you ready to unleash your full potential and become unstoppable in your success and leadership?
Welcome to the Unleashed and Unstoppable podcast, where we provide powerful insights and strategies for coaches, corporate leaders, and entrepreneurs. I'm Alexanne Carter.
And I'm Carol Register, and we're certified master neurocoaches who are passionate about helping you overcome your limiting beliefs and optimize your performance.
Each week, we'll be sharing actionable tips and strategies using neuroscience, from interviews with industry experts to solo episodes to help you lead a life of power, purpose, and possibility on your own terms.
Join our community of like-minded individuals. Hit subscribe now and let's be unleashed and unstoppable together. Hey, we are so excited to see you again today. We have so much value for you. You deserve to be unleashed and unstoppable. And Alex and I are here to bring you that in all the ways that we're able to bring you that. And today we've got some personal story we're going to bring you that we believe will really help you to accelerate what you're doing. I am in a process with my clients right now of helping them to accelerate and elevate. And it is such a fun and rewarding thing. It lights my heart with joy. And Alex, I know with Peak that, you guys are doing the same thing, really tuning people into their website. I want you to know that right now the Diamond Transformation is open for a very short time. It is exclusive. So if you are interested and want to get on a call with me to see how we connect and if I can really help you get to that 7-figure mark, well, I know I absolutely can, but it's a partnership. We work together and it is a powerful group. Just please reach out, text me, DM me, and look at the wealth you're going to be walking into, right? So today, though, we're talking about, dun, ta-da! What are we talking about, Alex? This is the exciting part.
I was going to say celebration, and then I think we were really about what we are celebrating today with.
Yes. Oh,
I know, I'm like grinning ear to ear since
yeah.
I got your text message, Carol, on Sunday evening it was, yeah. And what a beautiful with the listener, with you listener, you're here each and every week, every Thursday, tuning in, listening, learning ways to neuro hack, right? Your success, your wealth, your productivity, your leadership to truly lead and live that 10 out of 10 life and just maximizing and getting the most out of life. And we know, this is why we started the podcast, is that it's not the default. As much as, well, if you work with us, it becomes a default, but we know that it's not the natural default. And so we're so honored to share with you today that drum roll, we went to podcast awards last weekend at DigiFest. And Carol got to be there in person. And so Carol, I can't wait for you to share a little bit with our audience. What is DigiFest? So that even our listener audience can consider contributing, participating, or
absolutely.
Applying for next year as they enter their 10-year anniversary, but also just how exciting and fun this opportunity is for us, even as the podcast, to reach more women, more leaders just like you. I know also the men out there that are listening to this podcast, more like you, and making that really positive impact and difference in the world with the work that you do, with your creativity, with your voice, which is the theme of 2 of the podcasts that we received awards for. And we wanted to unpack a little bit about winning awards, right? About receiving acknowledgement. And so why don't we share a little bit about the DigiFest? Because I think it would just learning so much more about it and understanding the power and the mission and the vision behind it and why this festival is so important. Carol, please share a little bit about your experience there, some of the women that you got to get to know, and and then we can share, we can share a little bit about why these awards mean so much to you and I.
Yes, I'm excited to. I'm really excited to. I'm in whatever you do in the digital world, this is a festival for you. They are coming up on their 10th year anniversary. And because of what we experienced there, we can now call ourselves multiple award-winning podcasters, which is so cool. It's a beautiful process. It's with Scott and Diane Strand, and it is a national event, a national digital festival. So it's graphic design, it's website design, it is photography, it is full feature films, it is shorts, it is audiobooks, it is podcasting, anything in the digital world, they have a category for, and they do it. You submit through a third party organization. And then the judging is also through a third party set of professional judges in the area of the award of these digital creations. That's where their expertise is. So it is so exciting. And Alex and I, wow, we're gonna tell you what those awards are. Well, I'll keep you hanging here for a minute because we do want to talk about how powerful it is to have an award. So back to DigiFest. DigiFest is held in Temecula, California, which is between San Diego and LA. So it's really beautiful, rolling hills, wine country, olive oil. It's a very charming town, beautiful place to visit. And um, I just highly recommend that because it's their 10th anniversary, you get your submission in early, right? The competition was a beautiful thing, and it was incredible to hear the keynote speakers, Alex, to be able to, they were just unbelievable. Like the things that they're creating in the creative world. Um, and also, the things that we get to lean into every day. It was Justine Reese, who is what part of our wins, which we'll share. She was one of the speakers at the event with neuroscience with a group called Laughterworks. So shout out to you, Justine. And it was fabulous. We got to tap into our joy, and we heard from the beautiful actress Juliette Landau. Uh, and she's played Buffy the Vampire Slayer for years and been in many prominent movies. Her husband's a famous photographer. We got to hear from Denise Duff, who is a multi-million dollar entrepreneur, multiple businesses, and she has a beautiful skincare line. I mean, I could go on and on and on about the people that we got to hear from at this event who are actually in the digital world giving us such great value. So, yeah, again, I could just go on and on and on.
We had a lovely conversation yesterday as well, right? When we got to connect and share a little bit more about the excitement around receiving the awards. And we were speaking, on a guest that is going to be on our podcast in a few weeks from now,
Mhm.
Deb. And, we had a great conversation with her a little bit offline. And we were talking about how, you know, one, just the beauty of receiving an award.
Yeah.
And two, there's a little bit of a difference between receiving an award just for the sake, I'm not saying for the sake of the award, but
Yeah.
an award because you got an award versus like an award that really means and like really touches you on that emotional level, right? And sometimes
Yes.
it could be the big awards, it'd be little awards. But I will say, like when I reflected on which podcast episodes won the awards and noticing the theme about the the voice
Yeah.
and owning the voice. I know this is always such a conversation that you and I go back to, Carol. It's something we
So
speak so much
much.
into. I
Yeah.
know I shared a post on my own socials to share about how much it meant to me because
Yeah.
that was what had happened. I had silenced my voice. I stopped using my voice. I stopped owning my confidence. I really, there's this expression about being the turtle, right? Just like going back into
Right.
the turtle shell, like hiding and not being seen and
Yeah.
playing small and coaching the hundreds of, and I guess we're almost at thousands now of leaders that I've
Yeah.
coached and just seeing like this pattern that continues to show up. And so to know that we have really been a stand, Carol, for, you know, and not
Reclaiming
just
your
women, because
voice. Yeah.
yeah, and not just women, because I mean, I know a lot of men listen to this podcast as well, and like really being a stand for owning your voice,
Yeah.
owning that confidence, really connecting with yourself and not shying away and not playing small. And
Yeah.
then to see that those these podcast episodes got the recognition that they did,
Yeah.
it's just so, I guess it's so humbling, and it's just so touching to know that 3 years later, as we are on our 3-year anniversary episode, I think we forgot to share that, right? Like we are now celebrating 3 years of
Yes.
Unstoppable.
Yes, this is the first of three fabulous 3-year anniversary celebration episodes. Yes.
And just like, and like what, we're over 160 episodes, and just like the commitment, and Carol and I for saying yes, and for us using our voices on this podcast and being a stand for you. It's just, it's so beautiful to have to receive some recognition for that, right? And because when you stay committed, and you do really put in your heart and soul into something, it's so nice to see that it really is truly making an impact. It's not just Carol and I getting
Yeah.
together on Zoom and having a conversation. Like we really are impacting your lives
Yeah.
and being a stand for your next level of your leadership, of your life, what you're out
It's
there
true.
creating.
And our own as well. Like you talked
Yeah.
about losing your voice, it's something that as we continue to grow, I even learned some really powerful lessons there. So it was this fabulous event with amazing people having incredible impact in the world. And it could be potentially intimidating. And, it was easy for
Mm.
my mind to start to go into comparison really quickly. Thankfully, we have these tools. So it was a great place for me to take a pause, use my tools, and realize that when we stand in our internal power, the way we use our voices changes.
Mm.
And it was incredible because you're not forcing, you're not, there was, I could see some competition rise up. I could see some really strong wanting and needing to sell pressure. And it's really powerful when you're able to know that you can attract people by, sharing our wins and our struggles, sharing that we get to walk the walk and we may be farther ahead with the tools we have, but we get these limiting beliefs too. And when what we do using the neuroscience tools and going back into our identity, knowing who we are with our own internal approval, when we stand in our own power and our own approval, then again, what I noticed was the way my own voice, using it in a group of people, change. I didn't have to be in their energy. I didn't
Mm.
have to accept that because I was accepting of my own energy. And this is what can happen for you too. And then, with different things that come up, I also got to be authentic about who I am and what I do in the world, who Alex and I are, and what we do here with this podcast in the world. And it was noticeable in the reactions and the attraction that I received from people as I began to look at what before would have been very intimidating and overwhelming versus, being standing grounded in my worthiness and in the confidence of what, you and I, Alex, provide for each of you. It was really cool.
Well, and that's the power of that why, right? It always goes back to that intention. And when you are so grounded in that, that's why it's so important, like as leaders, to really understand like what is that deep rooted why, right? We
Yeah,
say it, the why that'll make you cry, of like of
yeah,
why you're doing something. And it does create a little bit more of that comfort, because you're so grounded in it and you believe so much in it. And that it's that there's like a peaceness to it, right, Carol? Like as you
yeah.
because you knew, like you knew internally, but it was so powerful. And that's what's so powerful for leaders. Like when you really truly believe in your thing, your why, and you're in rooms, like it's it's so much easier to find the voice too to speak up and then to receive acknowledgement and recognition
Yeah.
because you're vibrating from a very different place versus it being driven by ego and the looking good and that kind of thing, right? It's like, no, this is really about service. And that's what I was noticing like about DigiFest is that what they were the different submissions and what they're recognizing is really people who are making it taking a stand, wanting to make a difference,
Yeah.
being of service, really wanting to be also interruptive in a loving way of like of making that impact and the difference. And that takes it does take guts. I mean, it does take guts for you and I even to speak into some of the things that we speak into, but it's also because we're so
Yeah.
passionate and like this isn't stuff you're learning in school, right? And so we are excited to bring this to you and to be that stand and to be kind of like the pocket coach in your ear. So when you
Yeah.
hear us, you go look at your identity and you go and look for what will support you with being confident and taking that action and just knowing that on the other side of that action is that result. And I think it's kind of like
Yeah.
the way that things played out with even the submissions, right, Carol? With like, okay,
Yeah.
with the submissions and now just seeing how it all unfolded and there's underneath that courage,
For
right, like
sure.
taking that
Yeah.
courageous action and then
Yeah.
seeing how everything all like unraveled on the other side of that.
I was actually talking to my daughter about that today. It's setting that intention, and when you're looking to move forward in an area of your life, using your voice, having it be a part of who you are, and then celebrating, it's that vision. When you're thinking about that vision, think about what scares you, what's going to take courage. That's probably the direction that you get to go. You get to trust yourself first and foremost, intuitively. But then secondly, it's a both and because it's not just about it being, oh, this scary thing. Really important piece is it something that lights you up with joy and flows naturally out of you? So what I've discovered is like being there. I submitted on our behalves and, was going to support people I know and love and see what happens. But it was lights and cameras and celebrities and producers and directors and speakers and high level coaches. And even it wasn't that overwhelmingly big, but it was a lot. It was a group of amazing people having impact in the world. So going into it with curiosity of how do I
Mhm.
do that? This is the kind of room I want to be in. But oh my goodness, boy, was I nervous sided. Rather than leaning into the feeling of intimidation that wants to arise, learning to go, wow, I can really learn a lot here. I can really discover things. And then surprise, surprise, we've won more than once. And how cool was that, right? Was so glad that I ended up being able to be there on our behalves. It was very sad that Alex Leanne was not with me, but also knowing, that we're able to work together in tandem like this, which is so beautiful. And I'm so thankful for you, Alex. But yeah, it was really something where I got to kind of have a mirror on, a reflector on, and go, how are you operating in this space? Where are you going to take courage? Where are you going to step up and what is lighting you up with joy while you're in it so that it's not about being miserable. It's about really loving ourselves and trusting those visions that are in our hearts and why we're doing the things that we're doing.
Isn't there an expression like do one thing every day that scares you,
Yeah, yeah, that's
right?
right.
And that's
I
kind
think
of
it
what's
was
coming
one
to me, right? It's like,
Eleanor Roosevelt. I'm trying to
okay,
think.
yeah,
Yeah,
right? Like that's what, our brain, remember, our brains are wired to keep us in the safe and familiar, but being able to stretch yourself and really stretch yourself outside your comfort zone and do one thing a day that scares you, right? It really helps, obviously, on the neuroscience part of thing, like side is like developing that new neural pathway and collecting new evidence for your brain that it's not as scary as it looks, but also to take those bigger leaps and to take those
yeah,
bigger next steps, because that's really on the other side of that,
yeah.
is what
We're
you're
meant for more. We're
yeah.
absolutely meant for more. And, it is about belief, but it's also stacking things, right? So you have the belief, but then you have to take that courage step. But
Hmm.
then you don't want to build your ladder up the wrong wall. So it's important to look at that joy step as well. Because when we're in our natural gifts and flow, sometimes that can be the hardest obstacles we have to face to get into, but that's where there's like the then things begin to flow. It's like you take the step, you cross the line, and then everything just starts to open up, and you feel in alignment, you feel satisfied, you feel like wow, and other people will be going, how do you do what you do? That's amazing. And you'll be going, oh, is it hard? Is it you know?
Well, it's those little things, right? Like a lot of times we stretch ourselves so far, we're gonna get a lot more like brain resistance, whereas like it's just those little teeny actions each day, right, lead to big results. And so it's just
Yeah,
like that. And the curiosity piece, I mean, I know we've spoken a lot about this in the last, several months on the podcast, because I do believe tapping into that, like I think
yeah,
that curiosity piece is one of those secrets. It's one of the
yeah,
secrets that it's like no one really tells you about. But the moment that you really catch on to the power of curiosity, it really can shift things for you
yeah,
as a parent, right? As a partner, as a leader, because you're no longer coming from, that automatic place of the brain with the resistance and the negativity bias. You're
mhm,
leading from a place of curiosity, of opening this. You're opening
mhm.
up your brain to receive and not having it just show up like the doors are closed and like it's got to
Right.
be this like negative thing. It's like you're open. And the way that you're able to step into the room, Carol, with that curiosity of being curious, of wanting to learn, wanting to get to know people, that already like with the nervous system, like helps relax,
Yeah,
helps feel more at ease, because it's no longer about this ego fight. It's like
yeah,
I'm just leading from curiosity. I want to learn more about this person. And it just totally like releases, or
yeah,
yeah, releases like any type of energy that may be vibrating, or like you said, the being nervous sided.
yeah.
Is excited.
Nervous,
I know it,
yeah, nervous
nerve sided,
sided. It's
right?
like,
Nervous and excited at the same time.
yeah,
Um, but it just like in terms of our way, our beingness, our inside, right? When we lead
yeah,
from curiosity, just everything can really shift, right? On a vibrational level, but also just like in relationship with the person, because the subconscious connects to the subconscious.
yeah,
So if one subconscious is up, the other subconscious is right. So like if you can release that, it just
yeah,
becomes like so much more approachable and relational, right? Which I mean, we're all human.
yeah.
That's the thing. Like, okay, some of those people in the room might have a couple more awards and maybe have been on stage and, are known as famous people. But I literally had a friend say to me the other day, she goes, I knew you'd be famous one day. And it's
Mhm.
funny, like I'm like, I don't see that as that, right? But yet it's just again how we sort of perceive
Yeah,
with different it's the association made with
yeah.
certain things, right? And
It's
so
so true. I
it's our
think
perception, right? It's perception that we have of people that are outside of us, and to
true.
be able to look and also acknowledge in you, you know, and ourselves too, of like how how great that we are, right? The worthiness pieces you said earlier, right? We're all worthy.
Yeah,
And yet we do look outside of us for the validation. And yes,
yeah,
it feels so great to be acknowledged for the podcast. And we also too get to look internally for the impact that we're creating. And that's the invitation we have for you listeners is looking at, what is the impact that you're making? Because you are making an impact.
mhm,
Guaranteed. If you're listening to this podcast, you know that you're making an impact.
yeah,
And yes, it does feel great to have that external acknowledgement about it, and you get to acknowledge yourself for the impact that you're making in this world, whether it
It's
is on just
so
little,
true.
kids
Yeah,
running around your house or in a bigger, in your
in a
organization
bigger
on a bigger
context.
scale.
I
Yeah.
think there this being about acknowledgement and celebration, about being able to celebrate these awards, it's interesting the different aspects that are coming to mind as we're talking through this, because one of the other things that was a new awareness for me, or has been more recently, was in the past, I wouldn't even, didn't have an awareness about how I was being affected by the energy around me.
Mm,
So we know that we're in a quantum field and that we're all connected and we're all loving. And yet we also want to be very aware and guarding of our energy, like the saying that, and we've done podcast episode on this of you are the five people that you spend the most time with. So, like I mentioned before, wanting to be able to be in a room and to listen and to learn and to share, I also really appreciated this new awareness of, instead of being in my head and being overly analytical or overly focused on connecting or trying to control situations or holding back and being overly supportive. It was a balance of learning how to just be, but to be protective of me
mm,
and to put my oxygen mask on, because I could walk into the room and I'm insightful and discerning, and I could feel anxiety. I
mm,
could feel busy energy. I could feel pain. I could feel excitement. I could feel calm. And just all of the people and all of the interactions. I have a way of reading rooms that I didn't even know in the past that I have. And I've really been developing this over the last few years. And that was really helpful, because sometimes I'd walk away from an event, and maybe you found this, and I wasn't aware of how energies were impacting me. And
mm.
I wouldn't feel good. And I'd be go, oh, I don't really know what went wrong.
Yeah.
Not just the self-doubt and the beat up that comes in, and oftentimes it would switch to that. Well, I did it wrong, especially as a recovering perfectionist, right? But this time it was, oh, this energy is here. It's not mine. I don't have to accept it. I can put my cloak on, if you will, deep breathe, and be aware, again, going back to internal value, internal that be we talk about. And then that shifted me into my strengths, bringing in that courage and joy and celebration, being able to celebrate what Alex and I have been able to do together. We're here, going into our fourth year, publishing over 160 episodes weekly. Podcasting is a long game. It takes consistency. And we made that commitment together. And we wanted to serve you and bring you the beautiful neuroscience tools for leadership, for health, for wealth, for your productivity, getting off the burnout cycle, and doing what we do well, being bold, right?
Yeah.
And being bold and being who we authentically are. So that was an interesting piece. The not just the curiosity piece, and the grounded piece of worthiness, but also the energy piece.
Well, and I think it's a great time to do an invitation to the listener. Like, if there's something in particular that you want to learn more about, that you're struggling with, a topic, we get text messages and messages all the time saying, actually, it's funny because a lot of times, like, hey, do you have an episode on this? And it's either, yes, we do. Here's the episode, or, oh, not yet. We'll record that next time. Right. So we
Yeah.
really are here to serve you. Like, We come and we look at what's going on with our clients. What are we seeing in the leadership room? What are topics of discussion? And
Yeah.
so a lot of times that's where we are, right? And we're here to meet you where you're at. So if there's something that you're really experiencing, something that you don't understand, going through cycles, because I think this is important. Like there's moments where it's going to look really, really great and everything's working. And then all of a sudden it's going to seem like it's not working.
Yeah.
Right. And part of that is because you're up leveling. And as much as we all wish it was all sunshine and roses, I mean, that's not life. Right. And that's why as Carol said, like she had the tools. We have the tools. I
Yeah.
mean, I haven't shared yet, I think, on our podcast, like the beautiful journey we had traveling back to Canada a few weeks ago with the kids. And, you know, there's many different ways of different people that could have seen that journey very differently. But
Yeah.
again, because of the tools, because of the leadership, I was able to look at that experience very differently than, well, I know many people because of just the
Yeah.
feedback we receive from like, oh my, of that experience, but
Yeah.
it's because of the tools. And so that's why we're here. We're here to equip you with the tools, through the diamond transformation as well, to be able to go deeper, much, much deeper in being able to end patterns that are not serving your wealth. And then, of course, if you are a coach, consultant, business owner, and
Yeah.
you want to upgrade your website, right? Really find ways to have, I like to call it the website magic of all the things working together so that you don't have to work harder, right? Taking my knowledge as a neuro coach and tying it into your digital, visibility and your website and your YouTube and your Google business profile, like
Yeah.
having things work for you so that you can really, like, it is about living the best life. Like we are stand for that, right? And having you not have to go through a lot of the internal chatter and the internal dialogue that you find yourself probably going through, right? It's being able to release that and turn to those tools to support you, right? So that's why we're here. And so
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, like, if there's anything that you're like, oh, I want to learn more about this, please do not hesitate to reach out to us because
Yeah.
we love to talk about topics that are being
Yeah.
submitted to us by you.
And definitely get in touch with us about submitting to DigiFest for next year. So here's the big announcement. So we won People's Choice for a podcast recording that I was honored to do with Justine Reese, who is a vocal artist, a vocal coach for many years, over 25 years, well established in the industry. In fact, she was telling me she's doing something in Greek right now. She does Russian, Polish, like she's amazing. She's a vocal coach and she's also a member of the Dining Divas TV team, the Dining Divas California TV show, which, by the way, we're recording this today. But our episode that was published today on Thursday was with another member, Susan Irby. But this was People's Choice for that episode, The Bold and Limitless Woman, Reclaiming Your Voice, Wealth, and Freedom. So that was so exciting, right? And that's the one that the participants voted on. Then also, we won the big grand Digi Award Professional for an earlier episode that Alex and I had done on reclaiming your voice. And it was funny how it worked out. I had submitted that one, and then Justine and I had met and we were like, let's do a podcast. And she's like, yeah, I'm a voice artist. And I was like, so it had to be a theme of reclaiming our voices, right? So we're so grateful for the acknowledgement, feeling seen and heard in these awards, and so happy to share them with you. And none of this would happen if you guys weren't here listening to us, right? And so we do what we do for you, and we're so grateful to continue to bring you some amazing guest experts that, just the collective energy of the wisdom that we get to bring about is something that like stirs our hearts, and it's super amazing to be in this partnership with you, Alex. I love you so much and you're incredible. You're a rock star.
Oh, thank you, Carol. And it's been a journey. I mean, love getting to have our guest on and the questions that we get to ask and leading with that curiosity. And I mean, when you said to me the other day that we're 3 years, I'm like, has it really been 3 years? So I so appreciate the journey and being on this with you and just the stand, like knowing that, had to have a partner who is so passionate about this work as much as me. It just makes coming here and serving you, the listener, each and every week so exciting. And we will have those episodes listed below in the show notes. So if you want to go and take a listen to the episodes that won the awards, we invite you to do that. And of course, share this with your tribe, share this with your friends. Really support in helping us make more impact and more difference on more women and men, in your lives, and just to continue to pay it forward with our episodes, our show. And we also really would love to hear from you. So feel free to also, share a takeaway from the episode on Instagram, tag Carol and myself, and we will see you on our next episode next week.
Ciao for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Unleashed Unstoppable podcast with your hosts, Alexandra Carter and Carol Register.
If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review, and subscribe.
That's all for this episode, Wildly Ambitious Leaders. See you next week.